Well, hello, folks. Alberta, downtown Edmonton, St. Joseph's, in fact, Catholic High School. This is upgrading registration day. My oldest daughter went through it. Now my youngest graduated, but she's got to upgrade so she can go on to her post-secondary. All planned, we knew it. But in the last 2 years in Alberta, and I saw it last year with Jerica, this year live, I'm seeing it. I can't shoot the video because these are a lot of underage kids, right? Obviously, I would love to shoot what I just walked away from, but it's massive by the hundreds and hundreds, overwhelming, wrapped right around the school, the A to L, M to Z. None of them Canadian-born kids. So I'm there with my daughter. We got early because we were warned, and I know from last year with my oldest daughter, well, I can tell you this year, 10 times the amount. So Alberta has a centralized system now. What they do is if you don't graduate high school in your 3 years, well, you can graduate, but if you don't have your marks up to snuff and you require a fourth or fifth year, you now go to a central high school. Doesn't matter if you're under 18 or over 18, doesn't matter. You go to a centralized high school, and I went through this with my oldest daughter, now my youngest, and every year, as there's not enough spots for all the kids, and it doesn't matter if your kid is Canadian, a Canadian-born citizen, or it's a foreigner from another country, because the parents got immigration status here, and then they bring their children. They all get the same lineup, first come, first serve. Your child can get bumped out of high school, even though it was planned entirely since grade 10 what path to the program they want to do and what the school recommends. Go, trust the system, trust the experts, right? Although, trusting the experts, you find out, well, the government doesn't have a spot for your kid. Now, I got my daughter in early enough, should be okay. I told her, you call me as soon as money has to be paid. I'll be back there. I'm not going to line up with hundreds and hundreds of foreign kids. And that's literally what it is. And like I said, it's not even about Caucasian. It's about Canadian-born children are an extreme minority now. The overwhelming amount of immigrant children downtown Edmonton. I'd love to shoot a live just to show everybody what's what. It would blow away the average American. Can you imagine any city or every city being just like Canada, or at least just like Alberta? Because even Ontario isn't this bad. I know this to be extremely bad in Alberta. I know it to be. Live it, see it. I was in Ontario. I have friends with children the same age as mine doing upgrading, and they went through nothing comparative to what I'm going through in Alberta year after year. Now, Jerica's done. She's on to college. Sears starting upgrading. And hopefully all works out well. We got early in line. But can you imagine being a Canadian child and you show up in a line 5 to 9 o'clock, registrations from 9 till noon today. But imagine showing up in and around that time, 9 o'clock or just after, and finding out, sorry, you snooze, you lose. Hundreds of kids won't be accepted, neither will your kid. Even though you've paid taxes in the province of Alberta your entire life, your kid won't go to school. You'll have to go to an outreach program paying upwards of $400 to $500 a class. And, you know, kids by law are entitled to go to high school till 19 years of age, right? So it gives my kids, or anybody's kids, at least a year and a half to 2 years, depending on how old they were when they graduated, to upgrade. And that's how the system's been since I can remember, my parents can remember, and the laws are still there for Alberta. And I reminded the minister last year, but how many kids are going to get punted out of school, even though their parents paid their whole lives taxes for this? The law says they get it, but the new centralized system has been filled with foreigners. Sorry, snooze, you lose. Imagine a working single mom who worked her whole life, or a father, or even just lower income, supposed middle income parents who just can't afford to take the day off, but sent their kid, didn't get in time, and then they find out the kid comes home and goes, yeah, it was all filled. I'm Canadian, but all these foreign children, by the hundreds, took my spot. There's nothing for me. And just so everybody knows, it doesn't matter where you went to high school in and around Edmonton, you go to one school only, and it's public or Catholic, right? I know St. Joe's, and I know there's another public school, but these overwhelmed schools, centralized systems, most kids don't get in. So then they have to pay $300, $400, $500 a class in an outreach program because they're not entitled to the law or tax entitlements that any Canadian who's been a lifetime Canadian working should automatically get their children access till they're 19. There should be no foreign children bumping Canadian children out of the system. There's a lot of people sharing a lot of cockamamie stupid videos too, and I want to address this about immigration. No, USA, Obama, or the rest of it. USA has nothing in common in corruption of immigration like Canada. Neither does Mexico. In fact, almost the entire world, even those who mass immigrate to Canada, have no programs to match Canada. Canada has the Century Initiative. Only 20 other shitball countries have this. And if you guessed it's in the Commonwealth of Nations, you'd be correct. And even out of the 54 nations, only 21 subscribe to the Century Initiative that Canada invented. Hello, wake up, Canadians. Your criminal politicians are entirely responsible for all of this, making you pay for it and then depriving you of all the social programs you've paid your entire life for. They've ruined them, wrecked them, overwhelmed them, and you're still having to pay. And if you can't pay, no worries. They borrow against you to pay for this. No, it doesn't exist in the United States or even Mexico. So please, Canadians, get your fucking heads out of your ass. It's entirely only Canada who invented the Century Initiative. X10 times the immigration of USA and Mexico combined. More than that, beyond the Century Initiative, your federal government invented entirely on its own. Not George Soros, not Bill Gates, not nobody else. Only Canadian politicians from both conservative and liberals alike. All of them entirely. All of them. Beyond that, there's called PNP. Canadians, get your fucking heads out of your asses. All provinces, all provincial political parties created this, manufactured this. This does not exist in the United States. It's unconstitutional. And you ready for this? It does not exist in Mexico. It's unconstitutional. It's entirely only the provinces, the Canadian provinces of Canada, provincial nomination program, because the X10 immigration isn't enough. All of your provincial crown politicians need to make money. This is NDP, Conservative, Liberal, Bloc, Green, you name it. They're in it. They're filling up their pockets, and they're X10 on top of an X10. X20, the immigration of USA and Mexico. Mass immigration beyond all rational explanation to destroy Canada and the provinces. So if you think Daniel Smith isn't getting rich, who is only worth $635,000 after a life that I'm not going to run down, she earned her money, she made her normal Canadian investments, paid off her home, had another one, had a good opposition income during her time, long time ago, even though crossing the floor, but she is now worth well beyond that. X10 beyond that. X10 provincial nomination program, making all the same money, all the same organizations, she's premier, filling her boots, worth millions upon millions of dollars in 3 years' time. If you're this daft and stupid, I don't know what to tell you. There is no such thing as a real conservative, a real liberal, a real New Democrat, Labour Party, Green Party. It's all a lie. There is only Crown initiatives which are based in mass immigration at the expense of Canadians enriching the Crown. And there are many other evil NGO programs from all over the world. Yes, George Soros is involved in, but these NGOs are not the Century Initiative. That's a made globalism of Canada only. Canada invented it, conservatives and liberals together, to destroy you. And then all the provinces doubled down, Alberta being the worst, with the provincial nomination program, making a lot of Crown fat cats extremely rich. Extremely rich. Again, at the absolute expense of every Canadian citizen, which is a subject, or worse, an Indian savage under the Indian Act. Not for your betterment, but for your detriment. Realistically, it's a genocide. It's a supersized living colonialism. The worst kind of colonialism known since probably the 15 to 1800s. It's a new version. And you're on the chopping block. That's my video. We'll see how my daughter makes out. I'm going to get her paid up and done. I hope she gets registered. The ministry already knows I'll fucking lose it if she does, and if she gets bumped for non-Canadian people. If they do that and violate their own laws, it's at a point, and I know a lot of Canadians went through it, they just don't know any better. And these are libtarded Edmontonians who don't even know why their kids were booted out. They don't even know the law. But I know the law. And at least until that law is repealed, which I don't know, maybe that's going to be the next thing we're going to get repealed, where Canadian citizens aren't entitled to education until they're 19. I don't know. We'll see. But it would not surprise me. And again, a lifetime Canadian tax-paying, Alberta tax-paying citizen, and you have to worry about whether your kids are entitled to all those programs you've spent your whole life paying for, or some other foreigner who never paid a fucking dime into it claims your benefit. Think about that. And I already know from last year, dozens of Alberta families went through it, and they just don't know any better. And it's kind of funny because they're probably Liberal or NDP voters or Green voters. Who knows? But that's the truth. And this is all encompassing. But the worst province is Alberta by leaps and bounds. And what I've seen today would make everyone puke. Americans would be stumped and dumbfounded to see the visual expression of that. Can't even hear the English and the voices, all talking in different languages. I'm standing there like I'm in a foreign high school in some other foreign country. That's the truth of it. It's sick, it's depraved, it's gross. Thanks, that's my video. Share, get it out there. Bye now.